Hello and welcome to Market Insights. It's a great day to continue our discussions on the latest developments in our economy and how it will impact the citizens of this great country, Nigeria. I am your host, Lovina Emah. This morning, we are discussing a significant development in Nigeria's capital markets. Now, according to news, the Securities and Exchange Commission is urging state-owned enterprises, that's SOEs, to list on Nigerian Exchange, NGX. Now, this is from the Director General of the SEC, the Securities and Exchange Commission, Dr. Emomotimi Agama. And he said that it is important for SOEs to list their securities, emphasizing that it will lead to a more inclusive and democratized business environment. In addition, he also mentioned that this move aligns with President Bola Tinubu's renewed hope agenda, which emphasizes economic inclusiveness, democratization of businesses, and wealth creation for Nigerians. And that's something we are all looking forward to. So now, if this move is executed successfully, it could be a game changer for our economy. Now, for too long, these state-owned enterprises have been, somewhat of a black hole for public funds. But with listing on the NGX, they will be subject to the same rigorous standards and transparency requirements as any other publicly traded company. And we need this kind of scrutinization in these state-owned enterprises because we sometimes don't know what's really going on financially with them. So now let's picture this scenario. For example, the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation. Now it's a very active industry, and there's so many departments there. It's a very big industry in our energy sector in Nigeria. Now, if the NNPC becomes publicly listed on the NGX, investors will have the opportunity to buy shares in the company, and the proceeds could be used to fund critical infrastructure projects and improve the company's efficiency. Similarly, the listing of Nigeria Ports Authority, for example, could also lead to an increased investment in our ports and transportation infrastructure, making Nigeria a more attractive hub for trade and commerce. Now, of course, with this kind of developments, there will always be challenges to consider. The government will need to ensure that these state-owned enterprises are financially sound and have a clear path to profitability before they can be listed. Additionally, there may be concerns about giving up control of these strategic assets, which is expected, but the potential benefits are too great to ignore. Now, a successful listing of a state-owned enterprise could boost investor confidence, attract foreign capital, and create new opportunities for Nigerians to participate in the growth of our economy. So this morning, or rather, as the program progresses, with our guests who will be joining us virtually, we are going to discuss the potential benefits and the increased transparency and efficiency of having a state-owned enterprise on the NGX, and the challenges with regulatory frameworks and corporate governance. In addition, we'll also talk about, hear from the experts on insights on valuation, pricing, and market reception. And how will this listing impact Nigeria's economic diversification efforts? Now, that's something very key to consider. Also, we'll talk about the role of institutional investors in shaping the market. And a very important one to consider, the lessons from international experiences in privatization and listing. So join us after the break for a discussion with an expert in this field. Thank you for joining us on the program this morning. Now, we have a guest who has joined us virtually to discuss this issue of how the Securities and Exchange Commission is urging state-owned enterprises to list on Nigerian Exchange. And our guest this morning is Peter Adebola. He is the Managing Director of Edgefield Capital Management Limited, and he's also a trading license holder of the Nigerian Exchange Limited, and is also a participating institution of NASD PLC and a dealing firm of Lagos Commodities and Futures Exchange. Now, Peter Adebola is an authorized dealing clerk of the Nigerian Exchange Limited and a fellow of the Chartered Institute of Stockbrokers, as well as the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria. Many thanks for joining us this morning on Market Insights, Peter Adebola.
Thank you very much. Happy to be here.
Glad to have you on the program. Yes, I mentioned, yes, the Securities and Exchange Commission has urged state-owned enterprises to list on Nigerian Exchange. Now, what does it mean for state-owned enterprises to list on the NGX?
This is a very good development because if we can have these state-owned enterprises, there are so many advantages, or let me say, them.
Peter Adebola, there's a bit of an echo with as you're speaking. Is there a way you could to just mute any other background noises so that we can hear your voice clearly? Okay, I guess there's a bit of an audio issue with Peter Adebola's network, but he'll be joining us in a few seconds once it is resolved. And this issue is something that, as a professional stockbroker and a member of the Chartered Institute of Stockbrokers, this is something very key that we need to talk about. So, the impact of this on our economy, how it's going to affect investors in Nigeria, and also foreigners that will want to invest in this state-owned enterprises, as I mentioned earlier on, for example, Nigerian Ports Authority, NNPC, Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation. Those are a few of the enterprises that, if it's listed on our NGX, it will also allow people in this country to know what's going on in these institutions and how they can be properly managed and better maintained to ensure that their services are well delivered to the citizens of Nigeria. Now, we're still discussing with our guest who has joined us virtually, Peter Adebola, the Managing Director of Edgefield Capital Management Limited, an authorized dealing clerk and a chartered fellow of the Institute of Stockbrokers. So, Peter Adebola, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear. Can you hear me too?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear. Okay. Yes. Okay, now, so I asked you, what does it mean for state-owned enterprises to list on Nigerian Exchange?
Okay, thank you very much. That is a very good thing that can happen to the capital market, and it's also a good thing that can happen to the economy. Why did I say this? Is because of the benefits that can be derived when we have state-owned enterprises getting listed on our exchange. The first benefit that we are going to get is that it will make all our state-owned enterprises to become more efficient in terms of service delivery that they are giving. For instance, we have the NNPC Limited. If that can be listed on our exchange, you will see that they are going to be more efficient in terms of service that they are delivering. Not that alone, there is going to be transparency in their operations. Right now, most of the state-owned enterprises, they don't even publish their accounts, and you don't even see it in the public. But immediately they get listed on our exchange, we are going to see this. And of course, when they get listed on our exchange, it's going to diversify the ownership structure. Right now, it's only government that owns that. So by the time they get listed on our exchange, the ownership structure will be diversified. And not only that, it's going to be a means of distribution of wealth among Nigerians. That is, more Nigerians will be able to participate in the ownership of some of these state-owned enterprises. We can compare what had happened in the past when some of the state-owned enterprises were privatized and get listed on our exchange, and we can see the efficiency in the service delivery. In terms of some of these state-owned enterprises that are into infrastructure, if they get listed on our exchange, you will see that there will be more. The efficiency of their service delivery is going to increase, and that is going to be better for us as Nigerian citizens and also for government. And don't forget that before all these state-owned enterprises can get listed on the exchange, they must first of all be privatized. And when they get privatized, government is going to derive revenue from some of these enterprises. I can tell you, look at our refineries, for instance. It could be a good thing if all these refineries have been privatized and they are listed on our exchange. Raising capital for them to be able to operate efficiently would have been easier. And by now, we have all of them working perfectly across the country. So these are some of the benefits that we are going to derive. And again, when they get listed on our exchange, there is going to be a corporate governance put in place, because you cannot come to be listed on the stock exchange without having corporate governance. Now, some of them are just operating in a way that the Nigerian citizens don't even know what is going on there. But by the time they get listed, they will submit themselves to the discipline of the market. And that is what is going to make them to render their services efficiently. And don't forget, by the time they become listed, some of them right now, they are not even contributing anything to the consolidated revenue account of the federal government. But by the time they are privatized, their motive is going to be profit-oriented, and you will see that government will be able to even generate more revenue in form of taxes from all these enterprises. And also, Nigeria will be happy because our market will be deepened. Right now, the equity market capitalization is in the region of 56 trillion. By the time we have all these state-owned enterprises coming to get listed on our exchange, most especially NNPCL, we have Nigerian Railway Corporation, we have other state-owned enterprises coming to get listed on our exchange, our market is going to grow bigger, and we can even be number one in Africa. By the time we get to this level, compared with our number 3 that we are doing currently. So it's a good thing that will happen to Nigeria, and it's a good thing that will happen to the economy as a whole. Because right now you will see that even though the former National Electrical Power Authority was partly, privatized, but not listed on our exchange, you can see the improvement in the kind of services they are delivering, even though this is contestable because of some bottlenecks that some distribution companies are facing. But when you compare what we have now with what we had when we have NEPA, you will see that things are getting better now. And I can tell you, by the time some of these companies get listed on our exchange, you are going to see improvement in their services, and government will be better off, Nigerian citizens will be better off.
Okay, well said, Peter Adebola. Yes, I think the key phrase here is that service delivery, which is what every Nigeria wants, and the whole idea of accountability. We're having these institutions being reporting back to the citizens of this country when we ask what are their services, how are they rendering those services properly. Now, how can the government ensure that these state-owned enterprises are financially sound and ready for a public listing?
Okay, let me say this, that before all these state-owned enterprises can be listed, the first step is that they need to privatize them, and this can only be done by legislation. So the government can actually pass a legislation that some of these state-owned enterprises need to be converted from public ownership to private ownership. That's what we call privatization. And when this is done, then some of these enterprises will have to meet the requirements, because we have listing requirements put in place by the Nigerian Exchange Limited. So some of these state-owned enterprises, when they get converted to a public company, that is, they become PLC, then they can be ready to now get listed on our exchange, and they will meet certain requirements. One of the requirements that they need to meet is that they need to have at least 3-year track record, and they will be able to have, audited accounts that will support this track record that we are talking about. And again, they must have minimum of 300 shareholders which will be Nigerian investors. And not that alone, they must have minimum of 4 billion naira capitalization. And when we say capitalization, we mean the price at which they are going to be listed multiplied by the number of shares they have at the day of listing, among other things that they need to meet. So the first step is for government to legislate that all these state-owned enterprises be converted to public limited company, not private limited company, as we have in NNPC now. They need to convert to the public company, and with that, it will give Nigeria opportunity to invest in them. And after this, then they are going to they will need the assistance of those of us that are stockbrokers to ensure that they meet these requirements to get listed on the stock exchange. And by the time they do this, you will see that things will be different from what we currently have.
Okay, that's well, we know that with this kind of thing, it's not going to come very easy. We know that there will be some challenges. But before we talk about the challenges now, this regulatory implications that you've just talked about, what are the regulatory implications of this listing of SOEs on the NGX?
Okay, let me say this, that don't forget all the regulations that are put in place by the regulators are to protect the interest of the investor, because that is the essence of the market, in order to ensure that public confidence is put in place. And that's why all these regulations are put in place by the regulator. For instance, we are talking about submitting the audited financial statement for 3 years. Investors that want to invest in all these enterprises, they must be able to see what they have done in the past 3 years. And not that alone, they must ensure, they want to see that all these companies can be viable. You see, they want to see the fundamentals surrounding most of these enterprises, either fundamentals that has to do with the track record of these companies or the future fundamentals of these companies. That's why they need to see this audited financial statement. And apart from that, one of the rules again is that the financial statement that you are going to submit should not be later than 9 months as at the last financial year, which means that any company that prepared the report as of December 31st, 2023, the information is going to submit to the exchange should be before October the following year. Otherwise, the information that you are going to submit will have become stale. And as a result of this, it won't be, because so many events have taken place after them. So you need to keep the market, you need to give information to the market. And that is the essence of this rule put in place. As I said earlier, the essence of all these rules and regulations are to protect the investors and to act on behalf of investors, because we are talking about Nigerians, money belonging to Nigerians here, and we cannot afford them to lose all this money. So all these things need to be put in place to make sure that interests of the investors are protected. 2, the public confidence in the market is not eroded. 3, so that market can be moving smoothly. And that is the essence of putting all this regulation in place, both the one by Security and Exchange Commission, as well as those by security exchanges in Nigeria.
Okay. These are very good regulations that you have mentioned. Thank you for this, Peter Adebola. Now, still on let's talk about the challenges now. What are some people might be of the opinion that these state-owned enterprises, because of the nature of the business they do in Nigeria, and the government managing them, that they don't really want to be put in this public space of, for example, the NGX. Now, what are the challenges of the state-owned enterprises, and do you think they can be successfully addressed when they are listed at the NGX?
Okay, thank you very much for that wonderful question. You see, before now, when government tried to privatize NITEL, I mean, Nigerian Telecommunication, as of that time. You see, so many people kick against it, most especially the workers that are working in the organization. Because of what? Because of fear of losing their jobs. Now, when President Obasanjo was trying to do that, we have so many opposition about that. That they want to sell all the national assets, but you see that at the end of the day, we are better for it. Then you have to go and queue at night there, spending about 2 hours before you can communicate with either your business partner or your family members. You have to wait, you have to be on the queue to do that. But as of today, when NITEL has been privatized and the industry is regulated, all of us are enjoying it. I must tell you sincerely that there must be a kind of opposition initially, because one, people will not, they may not be aware of the benefits that are in the regulation or privatization of some of these state-owned enterprises. And as a result of that, people want to kick against it. Again, when you look at the people that are working there, if they are not properly sensitized and they are not properly informed, then you may see some people picketing the office of, National Assembly, or those people that are in charge, that, they want to take away their job. They have not put things in place for them. Where do they expect them to get another job? But the truth must be told that, you see, government will have to put in place how to take care of all these workers before, and they need to be given enough orientation of the benefits of privatizing all these enterprises, because it's going to be good for them, it's going to be good for their children, and it's going to be good for entire Nigerian citizens. And that is why we need to encourage it, so as for us to get efficient service delivery and all other associated benefits attached to privatization. For instance, now, I want to give example of NNPCL. If NNPC gets converted to PLC today, it will allow Nigerians to get invested in it. And you will see, this is a company that is highly profitable. Many investors, both foreign and local, would like to put their money in such a company. And the issue of government borrowing locally and borrowing externally will no longer be there, because the market should be able to, to provide the capital that they would need to use to run their business operations in Nigeria. And that's why, if you look at so many developed economies in the world, let us even talk about South Africa here, you will see that most of these enterprises that are germane to welfare of people, they are privatized. When you get to other developed economies like UK, like US, you will see that most of these companies, either utility company or transport company, or even some oil and gas companies, they are privatized. So why can't we do that in Nigeria? And when we do this, you will see that not only that our gross domestic product will increase, it's going to provide opportunity for more employment, and also is going to transform even government revenue. Government are spending money on some of these state-owned enterprises without getting adequate revenue from them. So why are you keeping them? The next thing that government is supposed to do is to ensure that all these are privatized and they get listed on the exchange in order for us to get the maximum benefit from all these companies.
Okay, well said. This is actually, you're giving us a lot of very key points on this, and this, hopefully, we do hope that this will be successfully done. But still on the NGX now, I want to ask you this. Now, we know we've talked about the challenges of this state-owned enterprises, but what are the potential risks and challenges associated with listing? Let me just hear from
you. Okay. Number one, some of the things that were, the risk that is involved is that when some of these enterprises, when they get listed, the first thing is that they need to give dividends to the shareholders. So the management of all these companies are going to be under pressure because they need to deliver to the shareholders. So, and some of the management now, they will not want that kind of, they will not want to take that risk because, and again, some of the things, another thing that will happen is that they will be more profit-oriented now than when they were owned by the state, because government owning them is not, the objective is not for them to be profit-oriented. So they can do whatever they like. Even if they like, for 5 years, they may not even declare any profit. Government does not mind. But once they get listed on the stock exchange, shareholders will put them under pressure that they want to return on their investment. And that is likely going to contribute to the fact that the prices of rendering their services will have to go up. And again, since the government is not having any stake in it anymore, what is going to happen is that they will be profit-oriented. They'll be looking at how to increase their prices in order for them to be able to. So it will be that the prices that they are rendering their services now will no longer be as low as it is now. But one thing is this, that if they increase the price and the services are available and are efficient, Nigerians will not complain, compared with when you pay for services and you are not even getting the services. So that is the only risk that will be there. And again, just like I said, most of these companies, they need to be more transparent, compared with confusion that we are getting here and there now because of some of the state-owned enterprises. When they get listed, there will be that transparency that is going to be there. However, another risk that will be there, though not to the investor, but to the current ownership, is that government is going to lose control, which I think is even better for them, so that they can face governance rather than getting involved in in commercial activities. So it's going to free the government, for them to face governance rather than dabbling into commercial activities like we have in the NNPCL versus Dangote and others now, when it is completely privatized and is listed on the stock exchange. So there will be no need of government intervening again. Government will only intervene when government discover that, okay, there is there is breach of trust between what the company has said it is going to do and the way they are rendering their services, in order not to oppress the citizen. And that is the essence of regulation. So when they get listed, government will lose control, but government will still have regulation in place, because government will now become regulator, compared with what we have currently, where government is the regulator and government is still operator. No, we need to separate the two. Government should face the regulation in order to make sure that all these state-owned enterprises, when they get listed, they operate for the benefit of Nigerian citizens, and government will now regulate them. Aside that, I do not see any other risk other than, because the benefits that they are even going to derive, as far as the issuer is concerned, is even more than the risk that they are going to face if they get listed on our exchange.
Okay. Now, before we go on a break, now I just want to ask you this: in your opinion, do you think the state-owned institutions, if they become more profit-oriented, do you think this is a good thing for them?
Yes, it's a good thing for them, because every investor, in fact, not investor, all the stakeholders will be will get benefits from being profitable. If they are profitable, the investors, they are going to get good returns on their investments. If they are profitable, government is going to get revenue in terms of taxes that they are going to pay. If they get listed and they become privatized, the state government, they are going to get payee from the taxes that the staff will be paying. Second, company income tax that they are going to pay, government is going to derive revenue from there, and all other associated taxes that these companies are going to pay. So for me, that's the best thing that can happen to our economy, because everybody is going to benefit from there when they get listed. And not only Nigeria, even the foreign investors, they can actually participate when they get listed, and raising capital will now be easier for all these state-owned enterprises. So the issue of the fact that we don't have funds, that's why we cannot operate, will no longer be there. So in my own opinion, I think every stakeholders to all these state-owned enterprises will benefit for it. Yes, the prices of rendering all these services may be high initially, but don't forget that when they get listed, or when all these state-owned enterprises are privatized, as I said before this thing, it's going to bring in competition. And when the competition sets in place, then we don't have monopoly again. So if we don't have monopoly again, then competition will drive down the price at the end of the day, and Nigeria will be happier for it.
Now, we know that right now these state-owned enterprises are being run by the government. So having them listed on the NGX, do you think it will lead to a total loss of control in terms of managing how the affairs of these institutions are run?
Okay. Thank you very much for that question. You see, when we are talking about control, yeah, we have so many options when it comes to privatization. We can have a situation where the government is going to hold substantial stake in a company and divest a certain percentage of its holdings to invest in public. Then we may have a situation where government is going to divest 100% of its stake to invest in public. Then the third option is where government is going to have minority stake and give the control, to the organization. So, but the best, in my own opinion, is for government to divest 100% from all these state-owned enterprises. Why am I saying this? When government divest 100% from these state-owned enterprises, don't forget, government will still put control in place, as in being the regulator or the industry regulator for all these companies. And again, what is going to happen is some of the revenue that government is going to derive from this company is still going to come to government. Even if government still have stake in it, what they are going to get is the dividend. But according to the historical record we have in Nigeria, when people observe, when investing public observe that government is having control over an organization, the investing public may have reservation in investing in such a company, because they know that, okay, government is going to have, in terms of decision making, government is going to have upper hands there. And so they may not want to invest significantly in such a company. So as far as I'm concerned, government can still have control by putting regulation in place. And of course, that is the essence of government anyway. Government is not meant to participate in commercial activities other than to put regulation in place that is going to regulate different industries. So that control will still be there in terms of regulation. But the control that we are talking about here in terms of regulation will make sure that the industry player, they play according to the rule, so that whatever they are going to do is not to oppress Nigeria, or is not going to lead to antitrust. And that is why in advanced economies, we see that the government will put antitrust law in place for all these enterprises to play with. So government will still have the control in terms of regulation, but in terms of having stake, in terms of boardroom decision making, I think government should hands off everything and let private sector continue to take their decision while government continue to control the industry. With this, people will be able to take decision that is going to be to the benefit of all the stakeholders. Because when government still want to hold on to it, it's as if they have not privatized it. If they still want to have controlling stake in all these enterprises, it's as good as not being privatized and not being listed. That means that government will still be taking decision. But when they leave it to the hand of of the investing public, then they will be able to make decision that is going to make this company to be more efficient and is even going to make them to be more profitable, in my opinion.
Okay, yes, that's why you're on the program this morning. We want to get your thoughts on this issue. Yes. So now you mentioned that the requirements that they should also have a minimum of a 1 billion naira capitalization when you were talking about requirements for these state-owned enterprises. Now, how will the market forces influence pricing? For example, if a state-owned institution was listed on the NGX.
Okay, let me say this, that when we are talking about market price is a consensus price that every participant in the market, they take that, okay, the worth of this company at any given point in time supposed to be this. And they are driven by three things. Number one is the fundamentals of the company. And when we are talking about the fundamentals, it has to do with their financial performance, it has to do with the management, it has to do with the industry itself, it has to do with their products, it has to do with the services they are producing. So that one is going to determine what the price will be. Then the second thing that is also going to determine what the market price is the information they give to the market. So the information given to the market will be analyzed by those of us that are investment experts. And number three, that is also going to is the situation of the economy, because you cannot, no company is greater than the economy. Whatever the economy is doing, that's what is going to affect all the companies that are listed. Or global phenomenon can also affect the market prices. So when you put all these things together, then you will see that market prices will reflect this. But that is on the global space. But when we are talking about individual companies, the financial performance of the company is going to determine what the price is going to be. And that is the expected returns on investment in such a company. That is what actually drives investors on the way they are going to either put in their demand or the way they are going to offer the stocks in terms of supply. So you will see that we are talking about forces that are affecting demand and supply here. Basically, market discovery is all about demand and supply in the market. But there are some other underlying factors that are affecting these forces of demand and supply. And that is what we have said. Fundamental. Everybody wants to invest in a company that is doing very well. Any company that is generous about giving out dividend, you will see that the price of such company will command a higher price in the market compared with the one that is not giving any dividend. Aside that, when investors, don't forget I mentioned expected return. A company may not be doing very well at the moment, but people anticipate that in the future, the performance of the company is going to get better. Maybe because they are going into new product line, or they are trying to do backward integration, or even because of margin information can actually lead to their prices moving. So in essence, the information that the market have and the fundamentals of the company is going to lead to demand and supply in the market, and that is what is going to make us to get price discovery in the market. So investors that equip themselves with information, they will always get good returns on their investment in the market. So these are the things that are determining the prices in the market. However, for a company that is just coming into the market, how do we determine the price? We look at the track record. Don't forget that I said the stock exchange will ask for the track record of the company at least for 3 years. So this track record is going to enable the financial experts to look at what has the company done in the past, what are they currently doing, and where are they going. So if you know what the company is planning to do in the future, you can actually look at that fundamentals and factor them in your valuation that you are going to do. So empirically, we are going to do valuation of the company, and then we arrive at the price that we believe is going to be acceptable to the market. And that's the price at which all these companies will get listed. But we need to gather information first, because we don't just fix prices. We fix prices based on the information that we have, and then based on the performance of the company, either historically or the expected future performance of the company will allow us to put the price in place.
Said Peter Adebola. Now, before we round up the program now, looking at the future, if this is successfully done in our country now, do you think this will lead to more responsibility for the growth of Nigeria's industries in different sectors?
Oh yes, I strongly align my thought with that. That if all these companies, if government is sincere enough to make them to get listed, is going to actually lead to economic revolution in Nigeria. Because if this thing happen, you'll see that some of these enterprises will actually, they will actually live by the reasons why they are established. Most of them are not living up to the expectation right now. But I strongly believe that if they are listed with all the benefits that we have highlighted and what is going to happen moving forward, you will see that it's going to lead to economy. Don't forget, when I was talking the other time, I said by the time all these companies by the time they are listed, they will be subjected to market discipline. And when they are subjected to market discipline, they are going to operate very well. Corporate governance will be put in place. Periodic reporting will be given to the exchange. Investors will be able to get information about them. Annual general meeting will be held. Extraordinary general meeting will be held where necessary for investors to have information. And that is where decisions are being taken that is going to lead to not only to the growth of all these companies, but also to the growth of the economy. Look at what is going on in the banking industry. At the moment, you will see that because they are completely privatized and are listed, you will see the kind of performance that all of them are making when you compare it with those companies that are not listed.
Thank you so much for your time this morning, Peter Adebola, the Managing Director of Edgefield Capital Management Limited. It's been great discussing this issue with you, and we do hope you can join us again on Market Insights. Many thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me. Thank you
now
very
let's
much.
look at the money markets this morning, how our foreign currencies are faring, and also how the Naira is faring this morning. So for today, Thursday, 26 September, we're looking at the Central Bank of Nigeria rates and the parallel market rates too. So this morning at the CBN rates, the dollar is currently selling at 1,669 Naira to $1. At the parallel markets, it's selling for 1,649 Naira to $1. So the central bank figures are higher than the parallel markets figures. Now, for the pound sterling, is currently selling at 2,261 Naira to £1 sterling. At the parallel market, it's selling at 2,202 Naira to £1 sterling. So the parallel market figures are lower than the central bank figure for the pound sterling. Now, for the euro, it's currently selling at 1,895 Naira to €1. That's for the CBN rates. The parallel market rate is 1,838 Naira to €1. And this morning, surprisingly, the CBN figures are higher than the parallel markets figures. So those are our money market figures for today, Thursday, 26th of September, 2024. Many thanks for watching the program Market Insights, as the guest and I were able to discuss the issues surrounding SEC urging state-owned enterprises to list on Nigerian Exchange, and how this will impact our economy, and also how this will also impact these state-owned enterprises in the future. And if this is successfully done, as the guest said, it brings more benefits than risk or challenges. So we do look forward to this development being fully completed and fully practicalized in the future. Thank you so much for watching the program. Do share your comments on our social media platforms, and we look forward to hearing them and discussing more issues affecting our economy and also globally. I am your host, Lovina Emah. Do stay tuned to the news updates on Sook News Television.